my bed to the floor. 5, 6, 7, 8. Will today be rough or will today be great? 9, 10, 11, 12. Lately I've been going through hell. 13, 14, 15, 16. Today's the day. Are you coming? Are you sick of being normal? I'm sick of being average. I'm sick of being mortal. I'm about to be a savage. I see a lot of things that I want, I will have them. I got a new mindset that I just established. I'll march through the cold with the nails on the pavement. I'll shovel that coal just to get out the basement. My story will be told, helping others make changes. I'll be so bold, they will watch in amazement.
Am I gonna face it? Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start or will I keep waiting? Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it. Am I gonna face it? Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start or will I keep waiting? Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it.
Foot up on the pedal, pushing hard to the metal. Make a deal with the devil. Channel rage through my vessel into something that is special. Energy of a rebel, going up a level. I just wanna be greatness. I could feel changes, turn a new page and tie up my laces. I will be the bravest, break out of my cages. I will not be nameless, I will not be aimless.
Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start or will I keep waiting? Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it. Am I gonna face it? Am I gonna chase it? Am I gonna start or will I keep waiting? Time is limited, quickly fading. Get my mind right, it's my time to take it.
What is up, Locked In Nation? What's going on? Happy Thursday, second week into June. We are live back tonight with episode 214. 214. We are back here tonight. Guys, if you're listening on Spotify, make sure you hit the download button to download our episodes. Helps out a lot. Just want to say I appreciate each and every one of you as we're kind of rolling here. We have our content filled up for the remainder of June and pretty much all of July as well. So we have some good stuff all set up. Just want to tell you guys, appreciate being here with you. So the guest for tonight, Rob was originally listed as a tentative. He was going to come on here and talk a little real estate, but he has a client meeting. He cannot make it. And then Dante is supposed to come on too. So we're going to talk just in general. We got some like-minded fellas on here that we like to talk about business, about finances, different types of things. So what we're talking about tonight are the fundamentals when you're getting started to get your business off the ground. So what are the essentials if you're looking to take a step in the right direction to get your business set up? Because there are fundamentals, right? I can tell you some of the things that I've had to do just for this podcast, just to any type of money that I collect from this. I can tell you from my personal experience, but I also have friends around me who have created business structures as well, who are a little bit more lucrative than the podcast here in terms of how they've set their business up. So coupled with a little bit of research and then some experience from people around me, I've put together this episode tonight. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the fundamentals of getting your business started. I'm not going to give you some number like 10, 8, 5, 10 steps to start your business. I'm just going to go off of the points that I do have. And we're going to walk through this tonight. So we're back. It's Personal Development Thursday. We're back in here. We're going to have some sports episodes rolling out too, guys. So I know that we've been a little lax on the sports episodes. We've been a lot of personal development content. which is kind of the sole focus of this channel here. We are going to get back to sports as well. But Personal Development Thursday, I just want to give a shout out to all the guests who came on last week. So that includes Candace, that includes Rob, that includes Mario. We were able to have, and that includes Zach as well. We were able to have some solid discussion last week in terms of our topics. So it was a solid episode. If you guys did miss it, episode 213, you guys can check on the YouTube channel. You can see what we have. And if you're on Facebook, you can see as well. It was a great episode. We had some great feedback on it as well. And I just want to tell you guys that episode was, we had some solid viewership on it, to be honest. And then Facebook, just everywhere. So on all the platforms, it was some good stuff. What we basically talked about was something that a lot of people can relate to. It's people pleasing. People pleasing is something that affects everybody, I think, at some point in life. It's ultimately an internal thing. It's almost like we seek validation externally rather than seeking that inside ourselves internally. So if you guys haven't checked that episode out, check out 213 up on the podcast YouTube page where you're at now, or if you're on Facebook, just scroll down a little bit, you'll catch it. With that being said, if you're watching on YouTube tonight and you're not already subscribed, you already know what the deal is. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button and click that little notification bell to hit those notifications, to turn them on, because we release content every single Thursday, barring some type of hiatus. We usually release content every single Thursday related to personal development or sports. If you like anything like that, you don't want to miss this content, guys. The channel is just continuing to grow, so do that. If you're watching on Facebook, I'm assuming you're already part of the community, so thanks. Still hit the like button. It really helps us out with the algorithm. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook also, and you see something you want to chime into tonight and add to the discussion, comment down below. YouTube, I can throw you up on the screen. Facebook, I'll still read, and I can read your comment out loud. But with that being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast. What a time to be alive. It is 2025. A little corny, I get it, but hey, we'll manage. We're going to work our way through, and we're going to see when Dante kind of pops in here tonight. But here is where I will pull my notes from this. Some of this is just, I don't even know. I think I have like 11 things on here, or 13 things, something like that. It's just an odd number. So I'm going to read the most important things here as I kind of go through tonight. When you're starting a business, I think that the most basic thing is you're probably trying to solve a problem. I think that that's the most common thing. Is usually when people create a business, they want to generate income. That's, you should get paid for what your service is. You should get paid for what you provide, whether that's a product or a service. But the ultimate goal of a business a lot of times is to solve some type of need. So if you're developing a product, it's usually to solve a need inside that specific market that you're targeting. If it's a service, you're providing a service for your clientele inside of that market. Either way, you're solving some type of need. People don't pay for things that they don't need. That's just common sense. So when you're starting a business, you have to understand, just from a very general level before you even start, what problem are you trying to solve? So what are you good at? What are you skilled at? And what are you trying to solve? You don't even technically even need to essentially be doing if it's the service, you could hire people to do those things. But what problem ultimately are you trying to solve? And you got to figure out your market. So number one is just to develop the business idea. Figure out what you're trying to solve. So you can brainstorm some of the notes I have here. So it's just like, you got to kind of figure out what problem you're trying to solve and then who your target audience is going to be. So create a product or a service. You provide a service or you create a product. You have to figure out who's your market. So say you are trying to, sorry about that. I should silence my phone here. So say you were trying to essentially create, I don't know, a cell phone. It's just random, a cell phone. Your market is obviously going to be people who want to talk on the phone, but that's going to be a very saturated market. Now, if you can offer a product that can maybe do something that other phones can't, that, Apple or Samsung, and they don't have proprietary knowledge on this, and you have some type of proprietary knowledge, this is really reaching here because you obviously know the market is saturated. Most people just can't create cell phones. It's just a random idea. It was just something random that came to my head. But essentially, what can make your product stand out? If this is in terms of a product, not a service, what can make your product stand out? They're going to want people to make people want to buy it compared to the competitors. So understand your target market. If you want to create a product that is more, sophisticated, whatever, or more, how do I put it, for people of, a certain clientele, you're probably going to look for a more sophisticated clientele, right? Sophisticated product, sophisticated clientele. You're going to probably want an upper class clientele. Now, if you're looking to create something that's more like that can relate to middle class, you got to really figure out who your demographic is and who your target audience is, and then how can you sell it. So business idea is number one. You got to figure out what problem you're trying to solve. Are you providing a product or a service, and who is your target audience? So once you can develop that, that is the most basic side of it, is just understanding that. So while investing money and time before you even know if your idea is viable might seem like a risk, what I would tell you is it's better to find out early through, you could do this by having, so ways you can figure out where your target audience is. You could have informal conversations with people who fit the demographics of your target audience, or you could invest money in setting up focus groups or polls to test the viability of your ideas. Now, what I would tell you is that while you may think, it's investing a lot of money before your product or service sells, might seem like a risk. It's better to find out early if your idea is the real deal or just pie in the sky before you invest even more money into it. Sometimes you do need to invest money, not all the time, but sometimes you just will have to invest money upfront. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but it's going to save you money in the long term if you had wasted with a product or a service that was just completely not viable or that market was oversaturated. It's going to lay the foundation for every other step, basically. So you need this number one, to understand your business idea. And then you really need to figure out who your competition is. So understand the market's a competition. Once you have the business idea, it can be tempting to start planning all the details, right, of how you can build it. However, before you do so, what I would tell you need to do is you need to understand the industry in which you're going to operate and the players that are in competition in that industry. Knowing the landscape of your market, you'll operate in, what your competition is doing, understanding what your competition is doing and how your company fits that landscape before you develop a business plan will help you see the bigger picture. If you can understand your industry, your target audience, your competitors, this is ultimately going to involve identifying market trends, gaps, customer preferences. You need to understand these things. You need to understand your target audience. You need to understand your competitors. You need to identify market trends. That's huge because, when you have a business, you want to continue to evolve. A business that stays stagnant is a business that's probably going to fail. And majority of businesses do fail. It's just how it is. I don't have that exact percentage, to be honest, but the majority of them fail within a specific amount of months, to be honest. So you have to be able to adapt to trends in business to really help your business stand out. And if you're passionate about what you do, you're more likely going to be interested in doing these types of things. Versus you're just trying to sell a product for profit or something, or a service for profit, but you're not passionate about what you're doing. So understand you have to identify market trends, the gaps, what your customers' preferences are in that market. And a deep understanding of the market will allow you to kind of plan your business strategically, if that makes sense. So that will be number 2 there. So develop your business idea, number 1, and then number 2, you want to understand your competition and understand the marketplace. You can get those 2 down. That's going to kind of give you the foundation. Once you kind of know what your idea is, once you know the competition, you know your target audience, you know the landscape of the marketplace, that is when I would say, this is from people I know that have created businesses, that is when you might want to write the business plan. Now, I know people that actually have businesses that have actually not written a formal business plan. So it sometimes does depend, but I would say a traditional business plan, it serves as a guiding document for the business. And you can kind of tweak it or tinker with it as you grow and expand the business, as you continue to scale it, essentially. Creating a business plan is also going to require you to answer detailed and sometimes challenging questions, which could actually be good to help you anticipate those potential challenges that you may face before you actually face them. because every business is going to face potential fit. I'm like, my speech is like all over the place tonight, but before you face potential pitfalls and challenges. So this can help you answer those questions early. The process of creating a business plan forces you to analyze the market, evaluate your competitors, like we already said, target audience and your competitors, right, in the landscape. Define their brand and outline define their brand and outline a marketing strategy, which is also going to be key when it comes to your business. Beyond helping you plan and guide your business through its early stage, a business plan is going to be a crucial document when it comes to securing funding too, a lot of times. So if you're looking for external funding, a business plan can be very key. Like I said, there's people I know that have created business without like a written document, like, formal plan. But honestly, the majority of the time you want to have a written business plan, whether it's typed up or, you can print it out, or you have it handwritten, whatever it is. You want to have some type of concrete documentation, especially when it comes to seeking external funders. So if you're looking for investors, an investor that doesn't know you, he's not somebody that's just like a colleague or a friend or whatever. And even people that do know you, if they're willing to invest money in something, majority of the time they're going to want to see some type of concrete document that's going to show you some type of vision of like where this company's going, like where at the top, like you want to see the roadmap before you put your money in. I don't know about you, but for me, for sure, like if I park my money in a certain bucket and I'm giving it to someone, if I'm handing my money to someone to do something with it because I believe in something, I need to see what it is before I hand my money over. We work very hard for our money. Majority of investors are not just going to hand over money. I don't even care if they're friends or family, but especially external investors who have no idea who you are. Why should they give you their money to invest in your product or service? So you are going to need majority of the time, most likely have to type up or write a business plan. This will also offer lenders and investors a detailed overview of your proposed business venture, your level of expertise, and your understanding of the opportunity and the financial requirements and potential upside of this business. This is it's indispensable for funding from banks, investors, whatever. It's good for them to see. Then I would say, so this is a key one too. You want to choose a legal structure. You definitely want to have some type of legal structure in place for your business, obviously, in case of lawsuits, product services, because majority of people I know that have had businesses, some of them are real estate, some of them are products, have had potential lawsuits. Not ones, some of them they haven't even lost they haven't lost any of their lawsuits, but they've had lawsuits. So this just kind of it comes with the territory sometimes. In business, you could actually be doing nothing wrong and you still get a lawsuit, which is why you want a legal structure in place ultimately. When you are starting a business. Let me actually pull up Facebook. It kind of dipped down here for a second. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Just one quick second. Let's see. All right, cool. We're back up. I just wanted to pull Facebook up so I could see the comments that kind of come through here. Guys, I see some of y'all are watching. Thank you for watching tonight, guys. If you want to add to this discussion, lock in and add. I truly appreciate it. I'm not going to lie. I appreciate the support here. I appreciate what you guys are. I truly appreciate you guys supporting. Dante should be coming on. Rob, so if you're new to the episode tonight, Rob was supposed to come on and talk real estate. He has a client meeting. So he won't be coming on, but Dante should still be coming on at some point tonight. So back to the conversation, choosing a legal structure. So obviously we all know lawsuits, legal, all these types of things happen. But the legal structure that you choose for your business is going to determine important aspects of running your business. What this includes is how you'll pay taxes. That's important too. The documentation that you're going to need to file and how you can raise money from investors ultimately. So you need to have this legal structure in place. It's critical. Each type of legal entity comes with specific requirements and restrictions, and only certain types of corporations may meet your particular business needs depending on your legal structure. So key to understand what that ultimately means is, in layman's terms, is how you structure your business in terms of the law, in terms of legal, like your legal structure is going to determine how you obtain funding, what type of restrictions there are, how you will file your taxes. Everybody has to file taxes. and the documentation that you're going to need on how to file those taxes. If you need help in determining the legal structure for your business, this is where you have to contact a corporate attorney. You can, it doesn't have to be a corporate attorney, but you want someone who specializes in terms of, I would say corporate attorney, someone who's going to specify in terms of law for corporations. So for businesses, you want someone who is specialized in that type of profession, in that specific field. But yeah, I can't give you any obviously type of legal advice here. All I can say is consult an attorney if you're looking to have more information when it comes to setting up your legal structure for a business. Experienced business accountants can help too with this. But for specific questions related to the law, you're going to need to contact an attorney. These professionals are well worth their rate, since incorporating the wrong type of entity, what I will tell you from people from past experience, can be a costly mistake that down the line can be very difficult to reverse. All right, so this is the one everybody talks about, right? When you're setting up your business, in terms of protection to not make sure that your own funds aren't getting touched, get your business registration licenses, and tax identification number. So everybody likes to use the word LLC, right? You hear everybody nowadays, they go, I have an LLC. So all an LLC is, it's a limited liability company. What it does is essentially protects you from anything being taken from you in terms, say your house, your home, personal assets being taken from you in terms of a lawsuit or a judgment. So it's essentially keeps any type of judgment against your business. The funds get taken from the business, not from your personal assets. So you have to have something in place to protect yourself. Once your business structure is in place, you're going to need to. So that's what I'm saying. Once you have the legal structure in place, you're going to need to register your business and obtain the correct licenses, tax identification number. And if you're planning on hiring staff, an employer identification number too. So if you're going to have people that are going to work for you, if you're going to have employees, not every business obviously has employees, but if you plan on having employees, you need an employer identification number as well. There's various resources that can assist with establishing this that I've seen myself, that I've gone through myself, filing incorporation paperwork to obtain the necessary licenses according to your local municipality. What I would tell you is some of the resources are LegalZoom, Zen Business. Just be cautious with some of these too. They can be helpful, but I'll be honest, a lot of the stuff I feel like you can do yourself that aren't going to cost you as much. These businesses, they can be very comfortable. They can be very beneficial for convenience. But I'll be honest, if you have a little bit of extra time, it can save you some money. These things can get a little costly, but if you really just want the convenience and you really have no idea what you're doing at all, you can seek these out for sure. Yo, Dante, what's up, brother?
What's up, man? I'm good.
Hey, man. What's up, man? Looking good, brother.
Yeah, I'm chilling, man.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you coming on, man. Appreciate you making the time.
Yeah, I'm kind of busy, but I was like, I said I was going to do it.
Yeah, slide on through, man. Appreciate you. I'm actually right in the spot, man. I had some steps and I had some notes. Basically, people I know that have businesses, I have some specific things in place for the podcast here, but people I know that are in real estate or just have products or services that they're selling. Basically, I was working my way down the list. I'm actually kind of like the LLC or like, licenses and tax identification numbers piece right now. So I was just talking. I was like, majority of people always say LLC, but not really knowing too much what it is. It's just all it is a limited liability company. It's just to protect your assets in terms of any type of judgment against your business. So obviously they can't come get your home. They can't come get your car, But
I think people should look into S Corp and also get a trust.
Yeah.
People tell you LLC and stuff, but they don't talk about trust as much. I feel like getting a trust is a little bit better because, it allows you to do a little bit more, and it'll allow you to pass down your assets a little bit better than a will. People don't know you get a will, you still might have to go to court or something like that. So
that's true.
Yeah.
S corps can be good for specific things too. That's the thing. It depends on the size of your business. I would say depending on how much you're making per year, an S corp might be more beneficial. So it depends on how much revenue you're generating. A lot of times in your business, they can really depend on that.
Did you go over steps? Like, I think a lot of people don't know that. I'm just assuming, but like when I hear people talk about LLC, they always say like, "Where did you get your LLC done at?" Like, the process is actually free to do. What happens is like companies charge you to do it for you because it's a few steps you have to do. But
Yeah. So
yeah,
basically, I just pulled up right here some of the differences. Actually, it's actually a great conversation, to be honest. I don't think a lot of people talk about it enough. So yeah,
yeah,
basically LLC, what that's mainly best for is it's just the max flexibility in how you run your business. There's no board of directors required for one. Um, Obviously, you're not personally on the hook for business liabilities. You're taxed once or twice. You're free to consider. You can help minimize taxes, but ongoing, like the drawbacks they say for LLCs are ongoing filings and fees to stay in compliance. LLCs can never go public too. So if you have a company that you plan on taking public one day, an S corp is definitely going to be a better option. And it's not recognized globally either. So you may be taxed as a corporation in other countries, something to definitely consider. Um, S corps, you can go public with an S corporation, unlimited owners, but you can have unlimited owners in an LLC too. You can avoid double taxation on profits, which is key. See how you're getting taxed multiple times through an LLC?
yeah,
It's beneficial for tax reasons, avoiding double taxation, and it's recognized internationally, and it's actually preferred by investors. So if you're planning on having people invest in your corporation, again, just like an LLC, you're not on the hook for business liabilities. Taxed twice if it's a C corporation. It pays at the corporate level. Shareholders pay on the income received. And you avoid double taxation if it's an S corp too. Drawbacks is there's still ongoing filings, just like an LLC, to stay in compliance. There's less management flexibility. The one thing with an S corporation is you must have a board of directors. So you don't need that with an LLC, but with an S corp, you do need a board of directors. And there's more admin, strict rules for holding meetings and keeping records. So
yeah.
some things to be mindful of, depending, but it depends on personally your business and the way you're structured
I
on
think
how
you
you're
could
going to.
always. Oh, I think you could always like switch it. Like, I think you could always change it, make it LLC or S corp or a C corp.
You can, I've heard. I've also heard complications too. So it depends. It depends on how your business, I think, is set up legally. It depends. I did hear that you definitely can change down the line, but I heard it also can be a little tedious on certain. I don't know. I don't want to like say the wrong thing, but
Yeah,
yeah. But you're right though. S corps, everybody talks LLC, but hey, sometimes an S corp might be better for you, and sometimes like people will start as an LLC, and then they'll become an S corp later on as they gain more revenue or profits through their business.
oh, bugs and stuff. We getting hit with all types of like gnats and like mosquitoes and stuff. I'm outside.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's crazy out there, man. I was getting eaten up too when I was out there the other day going for a run. I was like, yo, all the gnats are crazy.
yeah,
Um, so then, like the sixth step that I have here is just like financing your business. Obviously, this is crucial too. I went through the legal structure, the business idea, understanding your target audience, the competition, everything like that. So financing your business, once you have all this all set up, your legal structure, your tax structure, everything's set up. You have your plan in place. You know your competition. You know your market. You're going to want to finance, and there's different ways you can go about doing this. One of them is bootstrapping. So bootstrapping, all it is it's funded by the entrepreneur. It's just funded by you. So the entrepreneur directly funds it, either through savings, personal loans. It's common for a lot of small businesses. People just have a very small business, or or it's in the early stages. It's in the beta phases of its stages. A lot of this is very common for that.
yeah.
Friends and family, all I would say is just,
Could be rocky.
it can be very rocky, especially if you are to provide them a return on investment or something. You know what I mean? You got to be careful if you're borrowing money from friends and family. It's not something that I actually say I don't advocate for it, to be honest, but hey, to each their own. Now, if they're giving it to you as a gift,
A little different, yeah.
a belief in you, exactly, totally different. Borrowing money, be very cautious with that. That's all I will say, is because it can destroy a lot of relationships. But for small businesses, sometimes friends and family might want to help out and offer you the support. Newer small businesses, you might not qualify yet for a bank loan. So friends and family might be a willing source of capital. Have a clear written agreement when accepting money from friends and family. I would say, or even the people who are lending it to that person. You want to have specific expectations and a repayment schedule for sure, because
Get a
this could
lawyer
get
on that one. I know this one I just learned about a little bit. I knew about it for like maybe a year or two. You can actually find funding from grants. Like people don't use like business grants. Well, people do, but I'm starting to see it's becoming more popular to get a business grant to start a business. When you have a business grant, you have to have uh, uh, an actual business email, maybe a business address or a PO box could maybe work. I know some people say they get the digital online address, but you need an
Yeah.
address. You might need an actual business phone number, but you have to set up, like everything has to be set up right to get those business grants, and then you just look some up and you apply, and you may get granted some actual money to start a new business that can be beneficial. And when you get a grant, you don't have to pay the money back. So it's really like a blessing to like any new business or any new venture you may have. Like,
That's a great point, man. You know what? I'm glad you brought that up too. No, it's honestly a great potential way to get some funding for your business. Absolutely. The company that I work with, we actually deal with grants sometimes. We do grant writing to try to get a grant. Essentially, you get awarded. It's all a grant is. It's just an award of money. You kind of write your plan out to whoever you're doing the grant writing for, and you kind of, hey, express your need, tell them what your business is. Like you said, you have your email and you have specific protocols set. You have certain things set in place that are required for it. And yeah, hey, if they like your idea and they think it's beneficial, like, hey, you might be able to win that award money. And you know what? You leave money on the table, I feel, if you don't take the chances to do that. Hey, when you're first starting up a business, majority of the time, you don't have a ton of capital. So, any chance that there is to obtain some extra money, extra funding, I think it'd be beneficial.
yeah,
So for sure. That's actually a good point, man. I didn't even have that in here. Um So bank loans are another one, very common source for a lot of businesses. Generate some revenue. So bank loans are going to require an application and approval by the financial institution. That's why I said with like bank loans and stuff, that's why you should have a written business plan. A lot of people like, well, written or typed up, whatever, and be able to print it out. Because a lot of places like banks are going to want to see some type of documentation. It's not just like you're going off friends or family or anything like that.
also like be mindful of, like, how people say you could write off a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You have an
Oh yeah.
LLC. A lot of people do that wrong working for like um the like being a tax examiner for the government. Like you see like a lot of mistakes in what people do. They'll get a business and try to write off everything, and you can write off your business stuff, but you have to like still like look up the laws. Don't just go based off of what somebody say. You don't even have to know the full law. You could just look it up on ChatGPT, and they could teach you a little bit more. Hey, how can I write off this, or can I write off that? And it'll basically show you what to do, so you can actually know how to accurately write something off. A lot of people get taxed and audited because they just make little mistakes in their audits. Um, yeah, it could be very beneficial if you know how to work the business system. It could benefit you. You might, like if you talk about business at dinner, that can cover the cost. You can write it off on your taxes. Yeah, you can do that, but then it's a difference if you like taking like a bunch of like trips around the world and you writing it off wrong and stuff. They might go into details and say, well, who's a part of this business and
Of
stuff like
course.
that. Some people take their whole families around the world, and
Yeah, of course.
they
Eating
don't
dinners
know.
at like steakhouses and stuff, and then
Yeah,
trying to write them off as things. People try to push it. I feel too much, and that's the problem. Like,
because they do it too much, man. They mess up and they wind up having to pay a lot of money back. Um, I know, I know. Another thing is like, just have your like, I don't know. I think you can use QuickBooks Shout out QuickBooks if you're trying to give us a little sponsorship or something. But I think QuickBooks, I don't know if there's any other ones that you could use. Stay on top of your expenses. Having a business, everything that you buy for your business, write it down. Have the number. Have the. I don't care if you're spending money on gas to get somewhere. I don't care if it's like water for people. It could be ketchup packets, salt, pepper packets, like everything you buy for your business. Make sure you write it down and document it in like some type of QuickBooks or something. Have a budget so you can see what you're actually spending on a thing. Even if it's small, you feel like you shouldn't write it down. Write it down. It can add up. Especially the miles. Write down your miles that you're using. Um, the miles, the gas that you're spending, write everything down that you're doing for your business. And if you keep that, that's how you write off your stuff, but also that's how you keep a good book so you won't miss any money. Like even if the bigger your business get, the more you have to worry about. You might have to hire people now. You might have to
Yep.
worry about people like taking money. You feel me, or something. Or you just want to be organized. There's nothing wrong with being organized if you ever get tax audited, or if you just want to see like if you want to get a loan or something, and they want to look at your books. You can show them your books and like, oh well, this person generates this revenue. Their expenses is here. Their revenue is here. We can give them this loan. And once you build that up in your company, that's when you start. That's when you start to like really improve, and that's when you could get a loan and expand or whatever you need your loan for. Yeah. So
Absolutely, bro. Yeah, no, you want to be organized. Yeah, of course. Like
yeah,
you want to stay organized. That's the most critical part of it is
the
like you
key
said,
to a
if
good
you're an
business.
audited, you know,
Yeah.
if you're audited, anything like that, you know what I mean? It's yeah, QuickBooks is a good one. Another good one is Oracle NetSuite. Those are a couple of good ones. Yeah, Intuitive QuickBooks, guys. I'm sure you guys have heard of QuickBooks. But yeah, you just want to keep your expenses organized. God forbid there's an audit, or like you said, I feel like the faster your business expands too, it's going to be harder for you to keep track of these things on your own. That's why you want to have software to keep these things organized for you.
And hire a good team, man. A good
Yeah.
team. Yeah. Some I wanted to get in. The last thing I wanted to say was about like real estate, but so I'll let you finish the business part.
Oh yeah. You can jump into. I'll just finish this point, and then if you want to get into it, yeah, I have a couple other points, but no, I'll just finish this point on the finances side. The last part I was going to say is investors. So for businesses to scale quickly, or have a lot of upfront, if they have a lot of upfront costs to cover, from what I've seen, soliciting investments can be helpful. There's things like angel investors, private equity funds. But they sometimes are some of the most popular routes to go. But these investments are usually made in exchange for a stake in your business. So a share of your business, you kind of make, that's where these investments are exchanged. That's where a solid formal written business plan is going to come into handy to be able to show these investors. Like I said, nobody's going to want to invest in your business if they can't really see the roadmap for it. I highly doubt even friends and family will, because if they're putting money into your business, they still want to see a roadmap of where you're
Yeah,
going.
having an actual good business plan, ChatGPT, you could use to guide you.
Yep.
Make a good business plan when you have a business. Write, even if you have to write it down, transfer your written notes into a PowerPoint, and think of this is always good. You never know who you may or may not run into. Always have like a elevator pitch. What is it, like a 5 minutes or less pitch that you can talk about your business? I think it might be 10, but I would say 5 minutes or less that you can actually talk accurately and advocate for your business to make people be like, oh, hold on, let me know a little bit more about that. I might want to invest in it, or I might want to become a client or a customer. So definitely have like a quick pitch. The make it, even if you gotta make it catchy, like just have a quick pitch that can advertise your business, that it will make people
Yep.
want to buy something, like a commercial.
Yep. I'm gonna give you another one that's really convenient here. You ever hear of a dot card, DOT? A dot card?
Is that the thing you tap?
You tap, right. I have one myself. So what you can do is not only can it connect you to social media, you could have a business plan kind of thrown into that. What happens is somebody scans a QR code, they can scroll down, hit your business plan, boom, you got everything kind of already put out to them, boom, right on the spot. You don't have to carry paper around with you. You ain't got to carry a freaking flash drive to plug it in somewhere, print something out. You ain't got to do all that. You can just do this real conveniently. And a doc card, I think when I paid for mine a couple years ago, was like $20. I think it's still probably $20. $20 is simple. To be honest, it's just you can just tap it real quick.
What's the website for that?
I'll get it for you right now.
Yeah, that's a good one. Now, as far as real estate, I'm gonna just like say like something that's very fast, straight to the point. I was talking to like a coworker of mine. He was telling me like a 7-year plan for his real estate business, saying he was gonna get a house and live in it and fix it up, and then try to like sell it or rent it some stuff, rent it out while he like on another property, and like after he pay that off, try to like get a loan on the house or refinance or something and try to get another house. And I'm like, bro, that's a long process. If you can get a house, especially if it's like a duplex to a 4-unit, and you want to rent some of it out or whatever, cool. Make updates. As soon as you get the house, even if you got to do it yourself, make some type of updates to the house, pull the equity, use the equity to to put a down payment on another house. Do the same thing. Use the rest of the equity to, I mean, let me talk numbers. If you got a house for 100K and you fixed it up, it's worth like, let's say 175 to 200K. You could pull that money out. Let me get a little realistic. I know somebody that got their house for 275. They pulled the equity for 375. So what you can do with that is it's $100,000 equity. So what you do is you can put some money down on a down payment for another house. Do what you have to do, especially if it's a renter's house. Use some of the money to fix it up. Use some of the money to like some investments. Do not go to the mall and just ball out, go crazy. You could, if you want, you can use some of the money for your personal, but put that aside. Put like maybe 10, 20,000. You know, people going to spend money. People get a lot of money, especially if you never had it. You're going to waste it. So cool. You got 375. You want to use maybe 20,000 just to play with, just so you want to get some stuff, whatever, cool. But the majority of the money, you have to pay all this back. The majority of the money, you want to get your money back, and you want to invest. That's the whole goal of it. So you get another house, put a down payment on, and use some of the money to fix that up. Once you fix the house up, you can pull the equity out the new house. Hopefully it's more than the equity that you already pulled out, and you pay the original loan off. Now you own a house that people are paying rent on, and you have a new house. You just do the same process. You got a new house. The new house that you have, you go look for another house, put that down payment on. You just repeat the process. Don't forget to pay yourself first. Like, you want to always pay yourself, even if you have to put however
Pay your
amount.
business, yeah.
Yeah,
Pay the
however,
business, man.
huh?
You got to pay the business, man. That's the thing. And you also want to make sure that you have a cost set aside for if anything happens in any of those homes. That's another thing a lot of people don't think of. If anything happens and there's rent and you have tenants living in those properties, you need to have money set aside for if anything happens. Like you said.
That too. So you can't just like go out, go crazy. I say, I know somebody. I think they took 100. They got 375. They literally just. I think they might have took 100K out and just put it aside. You gotta pay yourself. It was like a thing. You gotta pay yourself. It might not be you gotta split. You might be splitting it, but it was just beneficial for them. I think they get another house, and the way they did the equity and stuff, they made their investments. They had the money aside for like if anything happened. They paid yourself a little bit, and then they put a lot into the investment. Anything can happen, mind you. Don't forget that anything can go wrong. You don't want to go out and buy a brand new C8 Corvette or a foreign car, a Benz, a Bentley. Like, you don't want to go out crazy, even if it's not a big car. You want to go on a crazy shopping spree, take a million trips and stuff like that. you want to invest in your business. After a while, you want to get the chance to do that. But if you do that at like, imagine if you do that like 5 to 6, 7 times. At the end, if you're doing it right, and I know things may happen, but if you're doing it right, you're going to own a lot of these properties, and it's going to be paid. A lot of the property is going to be paid off, where you're just getting profit from your renters. You feel me? But you still, as as what do they call you on this podcast? I don't even know.
On this podcast, what? It's like a host.
Yeah, like your
Or
name.
are you saying my name on here? Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
Steve. I'm
Oh,
like
all right. I was about to call you Steve. I'm like, I don't know if he got an actual name, but yeah, bro. So Steve,
yeah,
like
I
you
ain't like
gotta listen to
Myron.
what.
I ain't like Myron and Fresh from like Fresh and Fit, like Fresh.
Yeah, Fresh is cool, but yeah. So yeah. So whatever. Like when Steve said, like, yo, you need to have money just in case shit happens. Can I curse on here?
Yeah, man, go ahead.
So in case shit happens, you have to always have money for in case shit happens in the real estate game, especially
Yeah,
when you're investing properties and stuff.
and you can guarantee shit will happen. I'm gonna tell you right
Bro,
now,
things happen, bro. You
all the
know,
time.
uh, one of my buddies, not buddies. I'm gonna say my mans. I don't want to say buddies. One of my mans, he had a problem with one of his properties, and he had to use like some of his investment to fix the property up, and it was just out of nowhere. Something just happened out of nowhere. You feel me? So like you don't want to just pull equity and just go crazy. You want to invest in another property just because you're invested in property, the old property that you got the equity from. Something may happen in that house that you might need to fix up. So you know, you always want to improve your property. Like at least every year, you want to just do something, keep your tenants happy. I another tip is to like look for tenants that have good jobs. I know it's like some people like maybe go try to help out their family member and stuff, but that can like business wise that may go wrong. There's nothing wrong with helping family and friends, but things may go wrong. People may not have it all the time. I know
Yeah,
like if you really want to be a good um a good person, if you want to build like a good portfolio in a real estate game, you want to have like I'm not sure if you would call it a realtor or a property manager. I think you need both. But you want to find people that have good paying jobs where you know that they're constantly getting paid. And a lot of those jobs are jobs that you need, like in the hospital, in the
yeah,
healthcare field,
and I would
the
also
law
say
law
don't make
enforcement.
you're spot on, man. I don't mean to interrupt you here. I was just gonna chime in with saying also make sure that you run a credit check. Make sure you run a credit check as well. That's something that's
That's what
critical.
we did. Yeah, hello.
Yep, I can hear you, brother. Can you hear me? I think you froze up there for a second. Yeah, I was gonna say having a credit check is essential too. You want to make sure that you can credit you run a credit check. I've seen so many landlords get burnt on not credit checking people just because they're willing to accept anything, any type of tenant in their property. You want to make sure you run a formal credit check, like Dante, like Tizzy was saying over there. There's nothing wrong with helping family and friends. Just understand also with a business, you're not running a charity. So just make sure that you're able to set boundaries with people around you. This kind of goes to the people pleasing part of it, right? Unfortunately, there's family and friends that while you could be doing a good thing for them, they might not actually have your best interest at heart. And what they can do is, Dante kind of faded off there. Hopefully, maybe we'll see if he comes back in here. Some good points though, Dante. Honestly, he works as a tax examiner. So he's got a lot of knowledge when it comes to these things, especially on the LLC and S corp side. Like he sees like a lot of the things with write-offs, different types of things for tax advantages. So he offered a lot of good stuff there. And in terms of the real estate game, yeah, no, a lot of people I know that's how they started. They started with a duplex. You rent out one side of it. You take the equity, another down payment, and you just keep going. That's a whole episode, and I'd rather talk about it with people who actually are real estate investors on here too. Dante can come on for that too. We can get people who actually have property here rather than me a person who actually plans to have real estate property. But I'll be honest with you, I don't have real estate property. So I can't sit here and act like I know all the tricks of the trade because I don't, you know. I have knowledge of specific things because I've learned from people and I've consumed a lot of information on it, but I've never actually been through a lot of the trials and tribulations that comes with being a real estate investor and having properties. So, but I will say, it's important to understand your financial structure, understand, real estate is just, it's more so you got to understand your tenant. I'm going to go back to the business side of this and stray away from real estate for a little bit. So basically, when we're going back, I was at the understanding how to finance your business. So then you want to secure a location too. So even though you might not be a brick and mortar type of business, whether it's a home office or an office or an entire building, you need to know where your business is going to be located. For mailing purposes, you need your phone and internet service set up, business directory listings. Say that 5 times fast. Utilities, a lease purchase agreement for the workspace, etc. Like a lot of different things kind of go into this. In addition to a physical location, you will also need to consider digital real estate. What this means is, digital real estate is like a word people are probably like, what the hell do you mean by digital real estate? So that means owning a website, claiming Google business profile, and establishing social media profiles for your company. I was actually just talking to somebody recently, actually yesterday, and literally, she was telling me about how much she makes an hour, like designing websites for these companies, and it's just like it's crazy. For like an entire website build could be $700, or you could be making $150 an hour, creating these websites, which is incredible how much money people can be making on these. But essentially, a website is very important. It's the face of your business. Not the face of your business, but it's a good digital footprint to show what your business is, what it's about. What do you represent? Like, what is your culture? Everybody can kind of see a digital landscape of what your business is. It helps you stand out. So, your Google business profile, social media profiles for your company, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok's the, up and coming trend one. I need to be better with it for this podcast, to be honest. YouTube, whatever you're utilizing, LinkedIn for your business, you want to have your digital footprint out there as well. You want to know what that location is. So this doesn't just include a physical location, but you want to know your digital real estate location too, if that makes sense. Location, right? It's a cliche. Everybody talks about it, especially in real estate. Location. But times have changed. So you have to think of terms, not just physical terms. We got to think of the digital terms. It's a different time we're living in, guys. It's 2025. We've been in this digital age for a little while now. So I gotta silence my phone over here. Let me see. Turn that down. So once you're ready to develop your website, research the options. Like this girl I knew, she's a Wix designer. So she designs websites. She's her own boss, but she designs websites to Wix. But I'm always curious because, like, as as somebody who is in the process of kind of setting out my tax structure and stuff for my like business and everything, I'm always curious to kind of just dive into these types of things, just understand like, hey, the different types of things. Because I have a website for this podcast, right, guys? You guys might have seen it, but I'm not gonna lie, I have really been lacking on the updates on it. I need to get better with it, but I'm not gonna lie, a professional to do it could maybe be a way to go. Because I know, like, a lot of times I was learning to website design myself just to kind of teach myself, but I don't have any like real structure like when I did it. You know what I mean? I didn't take a course on how to design it. I kind of just did it, trial and error of how I created it. But it could be a lot better. So then here's the parts I'm going to go. We're actually getting to the hour mark here, guys, of where we're at. So I'm just going to be kind of quick on some of these. So the next one I have is acquire business insurance. That's very important. You want to make sure general liability. I deal with insurance through my company all the time when I check our general ledgers and I look at the insurance that's in our company. So we have general liability, you got professional liability, directors and officers, which is like D&O insurance, and performance bond insurance, name a few. There's property insurance, different types of things that go into it ultimately. But you're going to need those types. Those are the three main ones, and property insurance goes in there too. So you got property insurance, general liability insurance, professional liability. insurance, directors and officers insurance. Then you have also commercial auto insurance, different types of things depending on the structure of your business. You want to hire professionals to build your team. This includes the back end too, the lawyers, the accountants, but you also might have employees for your business. So, professionals are going to bring you expertise for the business. You want to hire them. You also want to use, you also probably are going to want to use local and national business resources. And then I just want to tap on some quick things to avoid when you're opening a business. This is based off people I know that have made mistakes starting a business. And this is also based off of research that I've seen. Trying to do everything yourself. Someone myself, in terms of any job I've ever worked, a lot of times I just try to throw everything on my shoulders. I was avoiding asking for help and just trying to do everything myself. It's not the most beneficial way to go, guys. I can promise you that. By not speaking up and not asking for help or seeking help elsewhere, you're really going to weigh yourself down. We only have 24 hours in a day, and the stress load. Anyone I know that's created a successful business, as they expanded, they had to outsource. So if you might be able to do a lot of the stuff up front for your business without hiring people, but as your business expands, you want to be able to scale your business. And you can't really scale your business if you're consistently involved in the day-to-day operations of your business, which can be troublesome, so which can be difficult. For example, I know someone who was very, very successful in the real estate industry, and he got caught up with doing a lot of the daily tasks of the day-to-day operations of his real estate business when he owned his first Remax and different types of things. He had to eventually realize he was struggling to scale his business because he was so caught up and time consumed by the daily tasks of the business. He was realizing as his business was expanding, he needed to outsource and hire other agents to work the business. So it's just things like this. Like, you have to understand that you can't do everything by yourself. There's going to be people that are better than you at specific parts of your business too. You know what I mean? Hiring professionals, freelancers, bringing on employees. You might need to find support to be able to find support to run your business most effectively. You might be able to hire somebody that's good at better at a specific role than you are. Like, I'll say there for the website management. You're managing your website or creating a website. Like I said, right there, you can hire somebody to do that. Just understand your budget and understand what you can afford. Ask yourself which areas of your business are taking away from tasks that will have a greater impact. Consider where your expertise is lacking. And that is a harsh reality sometimes. A lot of people don't know how to humble themselves and really understand that, hey, we might not be great at something. I know that I am not great there's the specific things that I could probably have somebody do better than me at a lot of different things. I am not the most skilled person in every area of life. It's just impossible. You can't be that way. It's not possible. You can't, they say a jack of all trades, right? Well, a person who has their hand dipped in too many pots, there's a saying out there that says a person that dabbles in everything is a master of none. So you got to understand that. And if you're trying to dabble in everything, you're probably mastering nothing because your hand is in way too many pots. So you have to understand where your expertise lacks. You have to be humble. You have to be realistic, and you have to use discernment, guys. It's important. What this is ultimately going to do is going to help you contribute to where it matters, while knowing that the things that still need to get done are being handled, and you can be confident in that. Hiring employees too soon. This is another one. You can really over leverage yourself. If you can do a lot of the tasks yourself on the early stages of your business, do it without having to pay employees. Now, I'm not saying to say like, oh, employees aren't important, but you have to understand your budget, and you can really over leverage yourself. You have to really carefully consider whether you need to hire an employee before bringing them on. This is very important too, guys, because this is the livelihood of another individual. Before you bring other people onto your business, you really have to understand this. Expanding your staff too quickly, expand your payroll expenses. And payroll expenses, a lot of times, are some of the biggest expenses in any business. The company that I work with, all the programs that I work with, I handle budgets and millions of dollars, to be honest. I work with budgets of millions of dollars. And I'm going to tell you, the biggest expenses we have are payroll expenses, guys. And we got directors working at some of these buildings and some of these programs. To be honest, and the salary is like 70% of what we're paying. Now, honestly, to be honest, it's social services program, so it's different for everybody. I'm just saying though, salaries and expenses are hefty, guys. So expanding your staff too quickly, it expands your payroll, which can be detrimental to your cash flow for the business where you can invest elsewhere. Employees can definitely be vital as you expand your business. Just really take the time to understand and make sure you're vetting these employees and interviewing very well to understand that you're not just paying people to show up. Cash flow is vital to the survival of your business, especially early on. I'm going to tell you that right again. Cash flow is very important to the survival of your business, especially early on. In the early stages of your business, you need to be able to manage your cash flow very, very frugally. So don't be overeager to building out the team of in-house employees. At first, consider working with freelancers who can be assigned work on an ad hoc basis. Ad hoc means like as needed. That's what that means, as needed. So you can hire interns, whatever. As your need for help grows, look into recruiting a full-time employee, seeing if one of your freelancers would be interested in actually a transition. Hey, maybe they don't just want to freelance. Maybe they would like to be offered a permanent role. And always consider the long-term cost of hiring. Spending irresponsibly, it goes without saying. You got to manage your money correctly. Rushing to launch, that's a thing too. There's nothing wrong with your product or service being in beta. What I mean by that is it's not fully ready for launch yet. Guys, take your time with it. Even if you're entering into a market on the ground floor, you want to make sure that you have refined the go-to market strategy and quality product and services. Quality products and services. You want to make sure that you're providing a good return on investment. Miscalculating the demands of the business too. This is another one. Happens a lot to a lot of people. So be sure to calculate your business demands very well. What I have down here, guys, is dotcards.net. What I was talking about was if you have a business plan, you want to provide it to people. You want to provide people with your social media, maybe a link to your website. Great way to do it. Real simple and easy. It's the digital age in 2025. I have this card myself. It's a link to my social media, to my podcast info. When someone's like, hey, what's your podcast and stuff? You know what I have to do now? I get so caught up in actually sending links to people. I always forget that I have this card on me. So simple. Boom. QR code. They can find a link to all my stuff. So when I'm out on the go, someone's like, you run a pod. Like, I don't really talk a ton about my podcast. I probably should more. But people who know me know I have a podcast. And I really do appreciate having people in my circle that are always promoting my podcast here, because I have like my buddy Joel last week. He's telling this other guy, Joe, he's like, yo, you got to get a link with Steve on his podcast. And I'm just like, I love that I have people around me that really support me in this case. So it's like people are always spreading word of mouth. But hey, someone goes, so what's your podcast about? Boom, pull out the card. You can tell them what it's about, but you can show them all the platforms to all your social media. This can go for any type of business, and you can put a business plan in there too and link it. So it makes it real simple on the go. But that is basically what I have for tonight, guys. Some of the fundamentals when starting your business. Let me just check Facebook here tonight. I want to thank Dante for coming on. My guy. Let's check. Solid views, no comments on there. Let me just check one more. Marius, appreciate the like, brother. Yeah, so people can kind of wrap it up here, guys. If you're watching on the replay, still comment. Like I said, I always address the comments. More of these episodes will definitely get in the works. Like I said, these episodes are great with people who are involved in the industry. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. I can give you any of the research that I have. I can connect you with people who are business owners when they have time, people who have started their own business. If you're somebody who's interested, because I'm actually in the process of doing the same. I'm kind of getting my paperwork together and my legal stuff together and my tax stuff together. That's essential. So with that being said, though, guys, have a great night, a great weekend. I think next week starts the first week of summer officially. Thomas Flying. I hope you guys are enjoying yourself. With that being said, next week's episode, let me look at the schedule so I know what we're talking next week, actually, real quick, guys. So we actually have all the rest of June booked up and pretty much all of July. I think I got 1 week left in July that I got to get scheduled up. I just might have to move some of them around, but I know ultimately what the topics are and who the guests are. So this is, let's see what we got here. All right, so we're actually going back to the mental health side next week. So this is Men's Mental Health Month. So we're going to have the panel on. We're going to talk about pride, ego, mental health struggles, and vulnerability. And then in 2 weeks, what we're talking about is this is actually in beta. The actual topic is TBA, to be announced right now. But I got my guy Ray coming on for that, so I'm excited for that. That's going to be in 2 weeks on the 20th. No, it's going to be on the 24th. No, 26th. I was like, what am I doing here? 26th, 2 weeks. So that'll be on the 26th. Next week, the 19th, we will have Men's Mental Health Week. So we're going to have a solid panel. We're not just going to have men, but there's going to be some women on too. But it's going to be a solid episode. Guys, take care. Have a good night, a great weekend. We will see you next week for episode. This is actually interesting. Episode 215, aka Philly 215. Should be interesting. Have a great night, and we'll see you next week. Peace.